Good morning. I missed you. I know I didn't have a video for Tuesday or Wednesday. But I really hope that that's because some of you went back to watch the other videos on time. Now, what we're going to do today is difficult sometimes to understand. So that's why I wanted to make sure, I really hope you took these last 2 days to really make sure that you understand how to read a clock. Like, you should be able to read a clock, an analog clock, and be able to tell time. And that's really what is important for today, because we're going to work a lot with time. Now, as said, I'm super excited because remember I said I'm going to have this show, right? So my husband helped me make this video is the entrance for our classroom show. Because this is the stars, 4 stars.
It's going to be legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Legendary.
Learner show. It's the stars for stars legend. Wait for it. Dairy learner show, because you are stars. Ooh. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our time. But before we do, let's start it off with a little vocabulary. Kind of, get our minds working. It's been a couple of days. I'm sorry, boys and girls. I was so excited about my opening video that I forgot to pull up vocabulary. All right, now, these are some new words that we've never heard before right here. Elapsed time. So before we start our lesson for today, I want you to watch this video. Think about what you hear when they're talking about elapsed time. There's our grizzly bear.
My name's Miyachi, I got something on my mind. I have a few questions and they're all about time. It started one day when I was coming home from school. My father wrote me a message so I could make some food. Yo, he wrote the note in detail, telling me the rules. Put lasagna in the oven at 5:30, but don't snooze, and heat it 50 minutes, and then after take it out. And when I put it in, I started thinking about how I need to figure out if I put the lasagna in at 5:30 for 50 minutes, when does it finish? I sat and thought a minute. I really didn't get it, cause 50 plus 30 is 80, but 80 don't fit in. There's only 60 minutes that's inside of 1 hour. We must calculate before the lasagna becomes brown. I thought, I could just use a number line. Add the time in 10-minute intervals and I'll be fine. So 5:30, 5:40, then 50. But add another 10 at 6 o'clock, not 60. And then we get 6:10, then 6:20. And now I know what time the lasagna should be ready. Yeah.
I never thought I'd be singing, but now I'm feeling so fine. How much time has gone by? That is the elapsed time. I never thought I'd be singing, but now I'm feeling so fine. How much time has gone by? That is the elapsed time.
I got another problem and it's different than the last time. We gotta solve it by finding out the elapsed time. My friend Kevin, he's got his tuba lesson. It starts at 7:30. He's done by 9:07. So how long did his lesson last? Let's use a number line. Break it down and do the math. We start at 7:30. Need to get to 9:07. Okay. What's the biggest unit we can use so we can get there? 1 hour. We add 1 hour. 7:30 turns to 8:30. Now we got a little more time to get to 9:07. Add another 30 minutes and we get to 9 o'clock. Now we got an hour 30 minutes with a little left. Jump another 5 whole minutes. Yeah, it gets us up to 9:05. We aren't finished. Oh no. Add another minute. Now it's 9:06. Yeah. One more is 9:07. Then we did it. Yes. Count it up. 1 hour plus 30 minutes plus 5 plus 1 plus 1 equals what? 1 hour 37 minutes equals how much time elapsed in a tuba lesson and Kevin was done.
I never thought I'd be singing, but now I'm feeling so fine. How much time has gone by? That's the elapsed time. I never thought I'd be singing, but now I'm feeling so fine. How much time has gone by? That's the elapsed time. I'm that lasagna that everybody wants to eat. And Kevin's tuba lessons are so long. I can't believe how much you paid for those 1 hour 37-minute tuba lessons, Kevin. You know, other instruments are way more portable and more appropriate for a little kid your size. Crazy, Kevin. Take it from me.
All right, so let's talk about some of the things that you may have heard in there. When they're talking about elapsed time, what did they say? It was the amount of time that had gone bye-bye, right? So actually, when we're talking about elapsed time, it's how much time has passed. Okay, so elapsed time is the amount of time that passes between the beginning and end of an activity. What exactly does that mean? Well, if I ask you, how long are you in math? Well, what time does math start? If we start math at 8 o'clock and we end math at 10 o'clock, or we end block 1 at 10:20, how much time has passed between the start of the class and the end of the class? That's what we're trying to figure out today. So we're going to use that time on a clock, how we can read time, to figure out how much time is passing between. So, for example, we said if we start at 8 o'clock, the minute hand goes all the way around, and remember, it goes around 60 minutes, and we've gone 1 hour. That means that the time has passed, the time that has passed between when it was 8 o'clock until now is 9 o'clock. That means that 1 hour has passed in between that. And if we keep going, remember we said 10:20, so if we go 1 more hour, because we were at 9 o'clock, so if we go 1 more hour, it went all the way around, and now we've gone 2 hours, because between 8 and 10 is 2 hours. Now, we said that we go at what time? So if we've gone 2 hours, and then skip count by those fives till we get to 20 minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20. So how long is our math block? How many hours did the time go by? We went 2 hours and 20 minutes. So the elapsed time, the amount of time that you were in math class, how long are you in math block 1? for 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's all that elapsed time is. Now, want to make sure that we understand there's 3 important times that we're talking about. Because remember, elapsed time is the start of an activity and the end of an activity. So, how much time passes in between that? So, here's one thing that I always like to use, and it's called the best chart. And I call it the best chart because these actually stand to help us remember our time. So, B. Think about what B could stand for. If we're talking about elapsed time, remember we said the start or beginning of an activity. And what does beginning start with? A B, right? So when I actually go to write it, that B is standing for beginning time or the start time. That's the start of an activity. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, the beginning time is talking about the start of an activity. And we will go into how to find elapsed time on a number line and a T chart. But you should always be using this best method right here to organize your time. And we'll look at it more. So that B stands for beginning time. It's the start of our activity. And what would that E stand for? Can you see anything on our screen right now that would kind of tell you? That's what the E stands for. Very good. Elapsed time. And what that means is, what was elapsed time? Do you remember? Very good. It's the amount of time that passes between the start or beginning of an activity and the end or stop of an activity. So we have our elapsed time. And that elapsed time tells us how much time has passed. So if somebody asks you how long you're in class, they're not looking for you to say 5 o'clock, are they? Does that make sense? No. So when we're measuring time, we use elapsed time, like how long were you in class? I was in class for 2 hours. So the elapsed time is the time that passes in between the start and end of an activity. And let's look at that last one, that ST. Now, this doesn't mean that there's 3 of them. If we'll look at our ST, think about it. Elapsed time is the amount of time that passes between the beginning and end of an activity. What words can you think of that mean the end of an activity that start with ST? If you're playing games, we tell you to stop and clean everything up, correct? So what word could mean the end of an activity that would start with ST? Did you say stop? I really hope so. I really think you did. Because when we're talking about the stopping time or ST, stopping time, and that's the end of an activity. That's your end of an activity, the stopping time. What time are you stopping whatever you are doing? So when we talk about our best method, it's using the BEST to organize our times. All right, so let's do figuring out time on a number line. So first, we need to be able to see what time it is, right? And if we look at our number line, this time number line is just like a regular number line. It goes in order. In this one, we can see these big tick marks. How many minutes passes between this big tick mark and this one? 5 minutes. If we were to count these, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So that'd be 11:05, 11:10, 11:15. Count with me. 11:20, 11:25, 11:30. Now this tick mark right here would be 11:35, but that's not where it is it? No, so it's 11:30, and then we count by ones. 11:31, 11:32. So what time is shown on our number line? 11:32. That's like if we were to show the time on a clock, it would be 11 and then count 2. 1, 2, 11:32. All right, so let's read this one. Sam wakes up at 6:45 a.m. It takes him 5 minutes to shower, 15 minutes to get dressed, and 10 minutes to eat breakfast. All right, I want to show this one more time because I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to write these as your notes. So remember, if you need to pause the video to take notes, then you can do that. That's the great thing about watching these videos, is because you can pause if I go too fast. All right, so we want to organize our thoughts to try and figure out what we're looking for. So I want to start with writing my best method. Then it says he wakes up at 6:45 a.m. It takes him 5 minutes to shower. That's a quick shower. I wish I could take a shower in 5 minutes. So 5 minutes to shower, 15 minutes to get dressed, and 10 minutes to eat breakfast. So, and then it says, what time will he be ready for school? Okay. Just like any word problem, I've written down the important information that was in the word problem. So, he gets up at 6:45. He showers for 5 minutes, takes him 15 minutes to get dressed, and 10 minutes to eat breakfast. So now think about that beginning, elapsed, and stopping time. What would be our beginning time? Would you say? I couldn't hear you. I hope you said 6:45 because that's when he's starting his day. And it asks, when will he be ready for school? So really, what are we looking for to find the answer to? Do we know our beginning time? Yes, it's 6:45. 6:45 a.m. is important. Excuse me, boys and girls. Now, elapsed time, remember, is that time between. Now, they've already given you the elapsed time, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and 10 minutes. How can we put that all together to make one elapsed time? What would we need to do with those minutes? Great job. We need to add them together. So if I add 15, 10, and 5, You should already have your answer by now. I want to see if it matches mine. Did you get 30 minutes? Great job if you did. If you didn't, let's look and see, make sure of we didn't make any careless mistakes, that we added correctly. Now, I want to find the stopping time or the end time. So here's where I can use this number line to solve my answer. What should my start time be at the very beginning of my number line? It should be a what? 6:45. What did they say in the video? We don't have to count 30 minutes, right? We can break it up into smaller intervals, smaller increments. So let's start. If we need to go 30 minutes, what's a good way that we can break up 30 minutes into something easier that we can understand? We could count by, what about tens? Can we count by tens? Okay. So we'll count by fives. This one will start easy, okay? So if I say 6:45 and I go forward 5 minutes, what time is it? 6:50. Okay, if I go forward 5 more minutes, what time is it? 6:55. Now, some of you may have already figured this out, and that's great. You can go ahead in the video a little bit if you'd like to. And so that way, if you've already figured it out, or just wait a minute just to make sure that you have the right answer. That's what I'd really like you to do. All right, so if we go 5 more minutes, it's what time? 7 o'clock. Okay, see how I'm making my number line? And all I'm doing is counting 5 minutes each time. Okay, and if I count, I've went 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, which means I need to go 10 more minutes. Right? And if I start at 6:45 and I counted by 5 minutes, remember? So each of these tick marks is 5 minutes. And when I get to my stopping time, what is the stopping time? If I start at 6:45 and the time that passes is 30 minutes, now what time is it? Very good, 7:15. So that would be our stopping time. Our end time would be 7:15. Is that AM or PM? If we only go 30 minutes and it was 6:45 AM, it is still AM. Great job. Okay, so now I want to show you, because I love the number line, but my favorite is the T chart or the best chart. Now, a T chart is the same idea, is to help you organize your thoughts, and organize, just like a number line is there to help you kind of organize and be able to understand the time. The T-chart method is the same way. It's just another method that you could use practicing elapsed time and practicing start and ending time. So let's look here. Our start time is 8:43 and our end time is 11:47. Now, what they've done, remember, if you remember in the video, it said go by your largest first. So, what is the largest amount of time that we talk about at one time? The hour is the largest. So, can I go from 8:43? Can I go forward 1 hour without going over 11:47? Yes. Now, they started by the minutes because it was 8:43 and they were counting to 47, well, 45 to make it even when they started doing their minutes, but I like to start by hours. And you count how many hours and minutes pass, and we can see when they counted their 3 minutes, then they were at 9:45 or at 8:45 and they went forward 1 hour. Then they went forward another hour, one more hour, and then they had to go to get from 11:45 to 11:47, 2 minutes. So their elapsed time was 3 hours and 4 minutes. Now, when you look at this, it may look real confusing, but it's actually really simple. So let's try. Here is another sample problem, working it out step by step using 2 T-charts, one for hours and one for minutes. We'll see if we look at that best chart. Our start time would be 9:57 and our end time is 4:08. Now, we're going to walk through it and I'm going to show you the double T chart on the computer and I'm going to show you in my best chart on my whiteboard, okay? So that way, when we get to the best chart later, you can understand it's just what makes you feel comfortable. Use what helps you the best. If breaking up your 2 G charts into hours and minutes helps you for right now, then please do that. So I'm just going to make my best chart. And you'll see a copy of this later on. I'll show you. But this is the way I like to set up my best chart. You'll see that I have my beginning time or my start time because beginning means we're starting something, right? I have my elapsed time, how much time has passed, but that's what I need to figure out. So I don't know that yet. And then I have my stopping time that's 4:08. Then I've set up my best chart. And when I set it up, I need to include those times. So I'm starting at 9:57 and I'm stopping at 4:08. I want to know how much time is in between these 2 times. That's what we're trying to figure out when we figure out elapsed time. So the first thing I want to do is start with my hours. See, look at the hours. See how they've started at 9:57. That's my start time. See, my start time is 9:57 and my stop is 4:08. So they have counted 1 hour. If I go forward, if I start at 9:57 and I go forward 1 hour, what time is it? Do the minutes change if I just go 1 hour? No, because we're only messing with the hour. If I take 9 o'clock and go to the next hour, what would it be? 10 o'clock. Well, we have those 57 minutes that are already there, so we just leave them there. So if I start at 9:57 and I add 1 hour, that's 10:57. And you'll see that they've went ahead and added up all the hours till they got to 3:57, because at 3:57 they could see, hey, I can't go another hour, because if I do, it'd be 4:57, and that's over the time that we need to. So, how many hours did they go? They got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. 6 hours. Then they started at 3:57 because that's where their hours were. Then they went into this minutes. 3:57, 3:57 to get to 4 o'clock is how many minutes? 3:58, 3:59, 4 o'clock. So that's 3 minutes, 4 o'clock, and then we need to get to 4:08. So 3 plus 8 is 9, 10, 11. Very good. So the actual time that passes in elapsed time, can you use this chart and figure it out? How much time passed in between our start time and our end time? Great job. 6 hours and 11 minutes. We count up the hours, we count up our minutes, elapsed time, 6 hours and 11 minutes. And this double T best chart is this right here. See how it's a double T? Okay. I want you to take a minute in your notes and solve this one. I'll do it on my paper at the same time you're doing it on yours, and then we're going to check them together. So I want you to make sure you can write out your best to organize your time. So if it says Brianna started her algebra homework at 6:15, she finished at 6:50. How long did it take her to complete her homework? So let's think about it. What are they asking me to find? Do I know a beginning time? A time that she started? Yes, because it says she started her homework at 6:15. Does it say AM or PM? No, so we don't have to worry about it. And she finished at 6:50. That means like stop, right? If you finish something, you're stopping, you're ending an activity. So she ended her homework at 6:50. So if we're looking for how long did she do her homework, then we're looking for the elapsed time. How long did it take her? All right, now you figure out yours in your notes and I'll figure out. And then we'll see if we're correct, okay? How are you doing? Everybody doing good? All right, I have an answer. Do you? If not, you can always pause this video right here so you can figure out an answer before I reveal mine, okay? Now, I want you to look at our best chart. So what we've done is started at 6:15 because I knew that that was my beginning time. I went forward 10 minutes. So I added 10 minutes. And if I start at 6:15, let's get there. Let's see. 6:15. And I want to add 10 minutes. 5, 10, so it's 6:25. Just like if you were adding 15 plus 10. 15 plus 10 is 25. The hours don't change, do they? Because look, the 6 o'clock hour, the 6 o'clock hour. So we know we're not going to have any hours that pass because we're still in the sixes room. So I added 10, 20, 30, 35 minutes. So my elapsed time is 35 minutes. That means it took her 35 minutes to do her homework. Because when I add up all of my elapsed time, it equals 35 minutes. Okay, now make a chart in your notes. You can either do a number line, the best chart, the 2 T charts where you have hours and minutes, or you could do a T chart, whatever makes it easiest and most comfortable for you. So here we're finding elapsed time because we're giving a beginning time, which is, what time does it say on that clock? Is it in the 6 room or the 5s room? It's still in the hour hand is still in the 5s room. So that's 5 o'clock. The hour is 5 o'clock. And then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So what time is it? It's 5:35. And what is our stopping time going to be? 7 o'clock. Great job. So we're trying to figure out, the question is, how much time passes between 5:35 and 7 o'clock? I'm going to take a minute. I want you solve it in your journal. I'm going to solve it on my side, and then we're going to check it. Are you done? Okay, remember, if not, now is the time. Pause the video, and then you can unpause when you're done. But the elapsed time would be 1 hour and 25 minutes. That means when I start at 5:35 and my stop time is 7 o'clock, 1 hour and 25 minutes has passed between this time and this time. Let's look at that when we look at a clock, see why it is. I know if I'm at 5:35, if the minute hand goes around 60 minutes, then I am now going to be at 6:35. So 1 hour after 5:35 would be 6:35. Great job. And now I'm trying to get to 7 o'clock. So I want to count how many minutes is it from right here to 7 o'clock. So I can count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So that means that 1 hour and 25 minutes pass between 5:35 and 7 o'clock. How are you doing so far? You're doing a great job. I know this is a lot of information, and we're actually going to be covering this for the next, few days, and we'll work on it next week too. So if you have any questions, I will be online later. I want you to finish practicing through. These are examples that you can use. And for your work today, what I want you to do is it's not a Google form, it's this Google Slides. And I want you to read the word problems and I want you to solve them. So sometimes it's going to be asking you to find the elapsed time, and sometimes it's going to be asking you to find that end time. Like if they gave us a beginning time and said it's 5:35 and I do my homework for 1 hour and 25 minutes, what time do I get done? Then we're trying to find the stopping time, the end time. So your assignment today will be these questions. I want you to fill out, or I want you to solve these, and these are actually going to be due Friday because I know that there's quite a bit of them. And if you have any questions, I will be on for office hours. Remember, 9 to 10 and 1 to 3. I've missed you so much. I'm so sorry you didn't get a video for the past couple of days, but I really hope you took that time. See? I hope you took that time to understand how to read a clock, because how to read a clock and understanding about time is going to be really important. If you have any questions, I'll see you later. I miss you all. Bye, boys and girls. Happy birthday, Amir, yesterday.